like all of you, I'm a patriot and I am worried half to death about my country. Like some of you, I'm a grandmother, and I'm worried to death about the country that we're leaving for our grandchildren. And so I was just about to tell the story to a few of you about my retirement. When Obama occupied the White House, I was occupying an office next door in the Treasury building. And the first time I saw Tim Geithner go down the hall, I found an exit and retired to Venice. So here we are. I have a little demonstration here tonight. If you will indulge me. And for the sake of argument, let's call this a pile. Is everybody okay with that? We'll call this a pile. And we'll further claim that this pile represents our constitutional republic. Is everybody good with that? Okay, good. For the sake of giving credit where credit is due, this demonstration didn't exactly originate with me. It originated with Eubulides, who was a contemporary of Aristotle in the 4th century. Only he used sand. I don't think they had wrapped candy back then. So he used sand. And it came to my attention in a National Review magazine, letter to the editor by a guy named Jerry Seelan from Hingham, Mass. And I think Jerry might even be proud that I've taken his idea here and expanded on it. At any rate, we're going to talk about the double-barreled assault on our constitutional republic. They're hitting us from all sides. Primarily, it's double-barreled. The first barrel is stealth socialism, otherwise known as the progressive left. And the other barrel is stealth jihad, which comes in many guises. Islam, radical Islam, Sharia law, the Muslim Brotherhood. We're going to get into some of those things. I also want to thank my mom because of a little story she used to tell us that I'm going to share with you. Farmer took his trusty mule and went into the field to plow. And halfway through the day, the mule fell over dead. The farmer was aghast. He's never done that before. That's where we are. We all have this normalcy bias. How many people in here watch Glenn Beck? Oh, that's going to make my presentation so much easier tonight. Then you know about the normalcy bias. When things don't go exactly like you've had them go in the past, or when, you know, sometimes the Republicans win, sometimes the Democrats win, but the world just keeps moving along, doesn't it? That's not where we are anymore. I hope that this presentation tonight is going to move you away from your normalcy bias. I hope you'll feel free to be afraid. I hope before you leave here tonight, you will be afraid. And heads up, no sleeping, because I'm going to be throwing things. So if you want to move closer up or farther back, now's the time to do it, okay? Let's see. If you feel like you're being fired at from all sides, you are. Let's talk about Obamacare, okay? The Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Doesn't that make you feel good? Doesn't it? It doesn't make you feel good once you read it. Oops, sorry. I'm a terrible throw. Every time I do this, Brian hopes I'll get better, but so far, no luck. Obamacare is going to take over anywhere from 1/8 to 1/6 of our economy. Okay? And the woman who runs Sarasota Memorial Hospital said today, when you take a state like Florida and you add 131 million people to the insured rolls, but they have nowhere to go except Sarasota Memorial and our other hospitals, what do we do then? Okay? We're going to have a system that allows you as a taxpayer to pay for somebody else's abortion, or 2 or 7. And we're going to have a panel, very highfalutin sounding panel, that is going to be the rationing board for your care. Okay? It's called, anybody got an iPad? Anybody in here have an iPad? Okay, you've all heard what iPads are. You probably know somebody who stood in line to get one. This is IPAB, IPAB, Independent Physicians Advisory Board. Now, you know when the government advises you, you better take their advice. And that's what this board is all about. It's a 15-member board that was appointed by Obama, every single member, 3 days after Obamacare was passed. Okay? They've had all of this in the works and in the planning for a long time. I probably don't need to bore you anymore about Obamacare because I suspect you know a lot about Obamacare. Do you know that the beginning of the tsunami of paperwork is something like 6,000 pages of new regulations that have already been written? Oh yeah, there's more to come. And stepping back a bit from Obamacare is the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009. Take another chunk out of our republic. This clunker was responsible for things like cash for clunkers and cash for caulking and all kinds of other good-sounding ideas. The rationale for this stimulus came out of the Keynesian economic tradition. It is something like 787 billion originally programmed, only now we're up to over 832 billion. And we're up to more than $220,000 per job created. Wouldn't you love to have a $220,000 job? We could have flown over Florida with helicopters and dropped $50 bills and done a lot better job for the economy, don't you think? Let me see if I can do this. All right, heads up, incoming. Am I saying the government's in? No, no, they're deliberately inefficient, and there's a difference. All right, I'm getting better at this. Enjoy them. They're chunks out of your republic. Yes, sir. Oh, well, I'll have to come back your way. I'm driving Brian crazy here. He's trying to operate the camera. But are you beginning to get the point here that they're chipping away? And I wonder if you've seen some of the latest ones. Of course you know Obamacare, and of course you know the stimulus bill. And let's see. Oh, the exact figure is $228,055 each. So we don't want to shortchange anybody, right? How about energy? Has anybody filled up their gas tank this week? Yep. I just did, like 45 minutes ago, and I was thrilled. Do you know your gas prices in Northport are, on the average, 10 cents cheaper a gallon than ours are in Venice? It almost makes it worthwhile to drive down here. When Obama took office, gasoline was at $1.65 a gallon. Now we're looking at $3.80 to $4. And Energy Secretary Stephen Chu said about 2 weeks ago on Fox News Sunday that somehow we have to figure out how to boost the price of gasoline to the levels in Europe. I think they've done it. I think they figured it out. What do you think? We all know about card check. Do we know about card check? Some thug stands over you and says, sign here. What you may not know is that the union folks keep coming back to the same company as long as it takes to get enough signatures to make that company go union. Bet you hadn't heard that part of it. The biggest myth about labor unions is that unions are for workers. Unions are for unions. Just like corporations are for corporations and politicians are for politicians. Here's another good one, Employee Free Choice Act. Doesn't that sound good? I decided yesterday, when I was on the phone talking to one after another of the staffers in my Congress members' offices, that the one thing you can be absolutely sure of is a bill that has a wonderful sounding name that sounds like it's describing a swan is guaranteed to be a turkey. And if you're very unlucky, it's a vulture. And here lately, I think that's what we've been getting more of. You know about cap and trade? Oh, yeah. We managed to keep it from going through the Waxman-Markey bill last year. But let me tell you, they're not resting on their laurels. Obama has been very busy having the EPA and other agencies like EPA and Energy writing regulations. It's what I call regulation in lieu of legislation. Don't worry about a thing. If you can't get it through the legislature, just regulate it. Just find some overbroad paragraph somewhere in the implementing regulations for an agency and just regulate the heck out of whatever you want to. Do you know that for years and years, since the 70s as a matter of fact, under EPA guidelines, a milk spill is handled the same as an oil spill? Okay? Fortunately for the farmers, dairy farmers in this country, they got together and raised enough cane that they at least got a moratorium on it, and it's never really been enforced. And EPA keeps telling them, don't worry, we're going to rewrite it. Oh yeah? When hell freezes over. In the meantime, these farmers don't know from one day to the next if somebody's going to show up and enforce these draconian rules about oil spills on a milk spill. To me, if you spill milk, gosh, some of the animals in the grass are probably going to be very happy about that.